Shalom. Praise to Yah, the creator and the maker of heaven and earth. Jaya Yisrael of the what we're going to in this particular teaching, in this particular aspect, in this particular presentation, giving due respect to Nasi Zipor Wagam Et Beno Nasi Natan El Wagam Et Sarnu Sar Natan El Mematelewi. This particular presentation is called Hebrew Lesson 9, Hebrew Mastery. In other words, being able to master how to read Hebrew. This is not a long presentation, but a very meticulous presentation as far as it goes once it comes down into the aspect of reading. All right. So we're going to go to the next slide. And it says this: Shalom. This particular presentation in lesson form is dedicated to spread the simplicity and easiness of reading Hebrew. Now, that is something that I emphasize on because a lot of people will say, well, Hebrew's difficult, or Hebrew is hard to understand, or Hebrew is hard to speak, or so forth. No, it's easy. It's different. Yes, it is, but it is not difficult. All right. If the previous lessons were attended to and studied, one will be able to easily explain this matter here. This lesson here will be divided into two parts, an A and a B. Now, lesson 9B was already done and it's already uploaded. All right, so we can gain some understanding in that particular regard. Part A will be addressing biblical verses, and the subject is not the aspect of rules of Hebrew so much, yet it is more so about the aspect of simply reading. Okay? Part B will address the matter of plural of nouns when showing possession, which we did earlier. All right, so we just want that to be noted for edification purposes. What you're looking at here is word ush moratem. All right. Okay. What you're looking at here is the Hebrew word ushmoratem, and it comes actually from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 6. Okay. Now, this is color coded, so that way it can begin to be seen much more meticulous and clear. What you're looking at going to the Hebrew on the top right side, remember, Hebrew is always read from right to left. You have the wow with the dot in it, that being the actual sharuk aspect. Okay, and that makes ooh, ooh. Some may spell it with a U in English, but in this case, for edification purposes, I spelled it with two O's. So the wow that you see there is said in English as the two O ooh sound that you see there, also in the same color. As stated, this whole presentation is color coded. Now, the next letter you see there is the letter sheen. Okay, the letter sheen makes sh sound. The vowel with the sheen is referred to as a shawah. All right, this is referred to as stated as a shawah. As we went over in lesson number 6, what happens is when you see a shawah, you just join it on with the sound that's previous to it. So now the whole thing is said as oosh, as far as we're saying now. Oosh. Okay? So what you're looking at right there in that particular regard is you're looking at the mem, the resh, and the tau. All right? Morte. Morte. Now, in the mustard inside of the aspect there, it says, or the mustard color that is, M-A-R-T. Morte. Morte. The mem has a patak. Mem making the M sound. All right. And the patak makes the A sound. So that's ma. The resh, like the sheen, has a shawah. So the rule with the shawah, as we stated, is when you're reading or speaking with this regard, you just join it on with the sound before it. You just join it on with the sound before it. So now it is said as ush mor and then you continue reading on with the rest of the word. Now, the tau that you see there makes the T sound. All right. So that also has the segol. Segol, brothers and sisters, makes the sound, EH. All right. Or just a shortened E sound. Ushmartem. Now, what I did when I did the transliteration of this, Ushmartem, I put two T's there to emphasize that the tau is both with the mort and then also with the tem. Okay, so that way it can be noted for edification purposes. So Ushmartem. Now, the definition of that word means, and you all shall observe, and you all shall keep, and you all shall watch. That's what that means in that particular regard. Ushmartem. Okay, so you have the wow with the shuruk making the oo sound. That's in black, and so are the two O's there. The sheen, you just join it with the sound before it, ush, and then you continue reading on with the rest of the word. Mor, the resh, like the sheen, has a shawa, and the rule states what? You just continue to read from that particular point. Ush mor tem, the tau with the air, and then a mem sofit. The word you see there is color coded, and we already explained what that particular aspect is. Next slide, my brother. Thank you. And it says this. Wa asitem. All right, so we can gain some understanding of what we're talking about. Once again, this whole entire PowerPoint presentation here is all color coded. All right, so we can gain some understanding of what we're talking about. This wow, as you see here, has the patak under it, and that makes the ah sound. So the W sound with the wow, and then you have the ah, so that's wa. All right, now what you're looking at in the red there is the letter ayin making a mute sound, or as I say, makes no sound. The vowel underneath it trips some people up, even though it shouldn't. This is referred to as the patak kwatan. Some refer to it as a patak kataf. All right, but it's just basically saying a shortened or a small aspect of the patak sound. Ah is the sound it makes. So it's wah ah. Okay, so that's color coded in that particular regard. What you're looking at there in the mustard color is the letter sin. Now, sin and sheen are, they both actually make a sound of either sh when the dagis is on the right hand side, and the s when the dagis is on the left hand side. Okay, see, wah, I see, wah, I see. Okay, the vowel underneath the scene is the E sound. Wah, I see. And then you have the tau there with the segol, and that's te. All right, and then ma, wah, asitem, wah, asitem. Okay, so just want this to be noted for edification purposes. All right, so wah, asitem. The word you see there is, as stated, wah, asitem, and the meaning is, and you all shall make, and it also means, and you all shall do. All right, so this is something we want to point out for edification purposes. Wah asitem. Now, in order to understand this kind of lesson, one must have already went over the previous ones. So if you want to watch this, feel free to do so. However, in order to gain a better and deeper understanding of where we are now, one has to go back to previous lessons. For those who may know, since March of last year, we were doing Hebrew classes, March of 2016. And what we decided to do was redo them because it went from March of 2016 to May of 2017. Then there seemed to unfortunately have been a hiatus. And then there was another one due to me being sick at a certain time, and it was out for 6 weeks. All right, so now that we're back in the flow, giving thanks to the Most High concerning this kind of matter, it was incumbent upon us here at Shema Israel, all right, to sit there and give the people something in a better format. So when we ask for, not trying to be funny or disrespectful, for donations and so forth, these are the kinds of things that the brother Chief Yashar talks about when we say the quality of our service is better to the people. All right. So that way people won't be able to say no offense intended, or the board or the light or the glare or the sound. This is why we try to sit there and step it up in that particular regard. All right. Wah asitem. The word you see there is wah asitem, in the meaning and is in you all shall make, also means in you all shall do. All right. And so we already went into the explanation of such. So this is something to be pointed out for edification purposes. Okay, next slide, my brother. Thank you. What you're looking at here, it says Hak Mat Kem. Now, as stated, this entire presentation of PowerPoint form is all color coded. All right, so now let's look at the Hebrew on the top. Remembering that Hebrew is always read from right to left. Okay, so we can gain some understanding of what we're talking about in that particular regard. All right, and it says this. The ket has the quamats, making the ah sound. Het makes the KH. The reason why I personally don't teach it as CH is so that way people may not be tripped up or to think it makes a ch sound as in cheddar or cheese, but rather it a ka sound. That actually also as a guttural. All right, so I just want for edification purposes. So what are we looking at? The het has the quamats making the ah sound, so that's ka. The kaf that you see there next to the ket has a shawa with it. And as we already stated, the rule of that is you just join it on with the sound that's previous to it. So that becomes kak, and then you continue reading on with the rest of the word. Hak, and then now let's look. The apostrophes you see there in the English are simply just for pronunciation purposes. They don't exist there in the Hebrew. All right. So mem and the ah making the sound ma. All right. Then you have tau. Tau makes what? The T sound. Tau, like the kaf there, have what? A shawa. So mem and ah is ma. The tau has a shawa with it, so you join it with the sound before it. So therefore, that becomes said as mat. All right. So that's hak mat. And then you continue reading on with the rest of the word. Kem, hak mat kem is how that particular word is actually said. Now, one of the things we want to emphasize on and point out in this particular aspect, brothers and sisters, is this here. Looking at this more meticulously, you have backward hak mat kem there in the ah, the kaf in the shawa, joining that together. All right. Then in the green, you have the mem, and that tau has the shawa with it. Okay. Over before in lesson number 6, you may see a shawa with the second and fourth letter, as in this word, the second and third letter. You may see it with the letter slika, but you will never see the any word in Hebrew that has a shawa as the with the first and the second letter of any word. All right, so this is something we just want to point out for edification purposes. Okay, now going on to the next slide. Thank you, my brother. It says the word here is kakmatkim. And this particular word here means your wisdom. Now, if you remember what we went over in lesson 9b, or for those who didn't hear it, can hear it later, you will see how the kim in this particular regard serves as the aspect of a suffix showing possession. The regular word for wisdom in Hebrew is the word hakmah. In there, this is hakmat, forms to a tau, as we went over in the past. See how all these lessons from one thing led to the next thing, which led to the next thing. All right. This is why we're saying that this goes in step, stages, and degrees. All right. Next slide, please. Thank you. The word that you see there, brothers and sisters and elders included, all right, is the word he shamer. He shamer. That is the word that you see there. Okay, now let's expound upon this particular thing here. The hey, remembering that Hebrew is always read from right to left. The hey that you see there has the kirik, all right, and that right there makes the E sound. So if you have the H sound with E, that's he. And as you see, they're highlighted in the dark gray. And then you continue to read on with the rest of the word. He shamer. He shamer. All right. The sheen that you see there is the red letter. Actual word from the book of Deuteronomy, by the way, as stated. Now, what you're looking at there with the sheen, the dot within it is also referred to as a dagesh. And what they're saying, or what is said in pronunciation, is you're saying it supposed to be said as hish shamer. So it's basically saying that the sheen is doubled. All right. That's what that particular aspect is in that particular regard. Hish shamer. The sheen has a which makes the ah sound. Coded there in the red, S-H-A-H. He, sha, and then you got the mem with the segol, making the S sound. He shamer. He shamer. That's how we want to present this particular aspect here. This is the word he shamer, and the meaning is, brothers and sisters, it means take heed, be careful, be watchful. All right. This is actually a nifal verb stem. Nifal being the second of the 7 stems. We'll get into that much later on as far as those patterns go when we deal with the 201 verb book. However, what we want to emphasize on in this particular regard, it says this is the word hishamir, and the meaning is, as stated, be watchful, be careful, guard, or be guarded. All right, if you want to say it in that particular regard, you'll see it in many cases like hishamir laka, translated in the scriptures as take heed to yourself. Okay, now the resh there is also in green, as you see there in the R. So this is color coded for a reason and purposes. So if a person's watching, they can stop, pause, and so forth and so on. For anybody who wants this particular PowerPoint emailed to them while they take their own notes and listen to it, feel free to comment on that inside of the comment board in this particular presentation. Or I will state it later on as well. You can call me or text me at 908-587-4841. All right. In that particular regard, and I'll get that to you in this particular aspect. All right. Next slide, please. It says this for edification purposes. Ushmor, as stated, this is all color coded, sorry. All right, for edification purposes. Now, the while with the dot in it makes it the oo sound. All right. So that is in the black there, as well as the 2 O sounds making it oo sound. And that too is, as stated, all color coded. So that's oo. Then we see our friend here, the sheen, one more time, and it, as before, okay, has the shawah with it. Now, there's many cases with the sheen doesn't have the shawah. This just happens to be one of the cases in which it has it. Ush mor. What are we doing in this particular regard is this. You have it to where, as stated before, anytime you have the shawah, it joins on with the sound that's previous to it. So u by itself, then sh more. Therefore, it's ush more. All right, it's not ushamor. It's basically ush more. So we just want that to be pointed out for reference purposes. Now, as stated, this being color coded, the sheen there shown there in the red also has the SH in the English in the red. Okay, now let's look at the mem making the M sound. All right, the dot over that mem, okay, makes it the O sound. That's referred to as a kolam. Ush, as stated, then M and O, mo. Mo. Spelt in the English there, in the brown there, M-O-H. To emphasize the sound, I put the H there. More, ush, more in the blue. I have there in the transliteration and the R there in the blue. So these are things We just want to point out for edification purposes. Okay, ushmor. The word ushmor means and watch and observe. Now, if you just take the u sound out, all right, you have the word shamor, which means to guard, to watch, or to keep, or to observe. All right, so this is something we want to sit there and point out for edification purposes. All right, so let's go on to the next part. That ends that particular teaching I see there with the PowerPoint. So these are just things we want to show for reason and purposes, brothers and sisters. All right, now let's go back with the time allotted and get into more of this particular thing right here. We're going to go back to the beginning of this PowerPoint and make some more emphasis on certain matters. All right, ushmoritem. All right, as stated means, and you all shall observe, and you all shall keep. You look at the sheen, the mem, and the resh. Now, let's look at this right here when it says he shamer. All right, you still see after the hey, the sheen, the mem, and the resh. And then let's look at this here where it says ushmor. Drop the wow, you still got the sheen, the mem, and the resh. The word shamar, all right, means to guard, to watch, to keep, or to observe. And when we deal more so with the verbs, we're going to tackle this particular word. All right, you see it in the book of Exodus, you see it in the book of Leviticus, you see it in the book of Deuteronomy, and so forth and so on. All right, so we can gain some understanding of what we're talking about for edification purposes. Now, let's go back, if we will, to this particular word that we were dealing with. Ush moratem, all right, means what? And you all shall observe, and you all shall keep. Now, the suffix that we see there is with the tem, written there in the green there in the English. Now, sheen mem resh, as stated in root, means to guard, to watch, to keep, or to observe. All right? So, shamar, meaning that, tem. In Hebrew, we want to emphasize that when you show the suffix of it in a verb, it shows it in the past tense. The past tense has the suffix at the end of it in that particular regard. Okay, so now let's show it in this particular one. Wa asitem. This word here is a meticulously different kind of word, because if you drop the wa off, you have the word asitem. Now, if you drop off that suffix tem, you have the word said there left as asi. The word asi in this regard comes from the root word asa, do or make. Now, Hebrew, when hey is the last letter of that particular root word, when you conjugate it in the past tense, the hey in most cases turns into the yod. This is referred to as a lamed hey verb. All right, so these are the things we want to point out for edification purposes. Another thing to point out, brothers and sisters, ushmoratim as well as wa'asitem. Both of these words are by default in the past tense. However, in biblical Hebrew, there is a thing referring to as the wow consecutive or the wow hakipuk. All right. And in that particular regard, what happens is what would have normally been past tense into future, and what's normally would have been future turns into past tense. So that's how that works in that regard. All right. So getting on into the next particular aspect here. Let's look at this word one more time. Hakmat hakem. Wisdom, the wisdom of your, masculine plural. Now, when you have a company of all males, you speak in the masculine plural if you're addressing two or more males. However, if it's a mixed company with males and females, you still speak in the all masculine aspect of it. Now, if you're excluding the aspect of the males, then you will sit there and speak in regards to the aspect of it being in feminine. All right, so we can gain some understanding of what we're talking about in this particular regard. All right, so the next thing we want to look at, it says Kakmat Kim, your wisdom. The wisdom for you all. All right. Masculine plural, your, Y-O-U-R. Now, one more thing to point out, brothers and sisters, with this particular word, he shamir. Now, this takes the prefix of the letter hey, as we went over before in lesson 6 about what the prefixes are and what the suffixes are. Very important. Drop that off, you get the word shamir, all right, which means still, to watch, to guard, to keep, or to observe. Now, one more thing to point out lastly concerning this particular one right here. Ush mor. Ush mor. Now, if you drop off the wow, you get the word shamor, which means, as one more time, to watch, to guard, to keep, or to observe. So after this lesson, you're certainly going to know what the word shamar means in root. To watch, to guard, to keep, or to observe. Now, if you drop off that wow, you have the sheen still there with the shawah. Okay? In order in Hebrew verbs to get the command form, all you do is drop off the prefix of the future tense, as was explained before in the Hebrew presentation in this camp here entitled From Avaris to Alabama, which we explained before in the Hebrew aspect, which is also on this channel. So if you're following all the videos that's been loaded up, take your notes, ask questions. You can text me 908-587-4841. With that, I say Torah for the time. Shalom. Most High bless. You all have a good night. This is the last presentation for tonight. Shalom Lechem. There will be more presentations in the future. Have a good week. Shabua Tob Lechem. Good week to you all. Lala Tob. Good night.